very pleasant good day to you and welcome to Grow with IPED. We're indeed happy that you've taken time off to tune into our program this week because this week it's a very special program. And why it is special? Because it's Global Entrepreneurship Week. Come Monday the 18th to Sunday the 24th of November, across the world, everyone, especially entrepreneurs, will be celebrating and acknowledging the contributions of entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship. And I want to inform you that the Guyana Youth Business Trust, which is a unit of the Institute of Private Enterprise Development, is the official host of Global Entrepreneurship Week in Guyana. And it's on that background, I want to inform you that I have in the studio with me today Mr. Ramesh Persad, IPED's Chief Executive Officer and Executive Director of the Guyana Youth Business Trust. And we'll be having a very interesting discussion on starting and growing businesses. So I invite you to stay tuned. We'll go for a short break, and when we come back, Mr. Persad and I will be addressing the topic or discussing growing and starting businesses when we come back.
I'm Jonathan Ortmans, and I'm with Global Entrepreneurship Week. Global Entrepreneurship Week is challenging to understand in some respects because it's 35,000 events happening at the same time in 125 different countries. Global Entrepreneurship Week offers you the opportunity to come and test your aptitude. Join a networking event. Come and meet a mentor. Come and experience a boot camp. Come and experience some other element of the startup community in your city, in your town, and learn about whether or not at some point in your life you may have the interest and the skill to be able to join a startup. And I think this has been effective in allowing people to feel that they're not only driving more of their fellow citizens to consider the path of entrepreneurship in their own countries, but they're learning and participating with people from other nations. It's really in the hearts and the minds of the individuals in each of these countries. There's a way that now we think entrepreneurs might be the force for change in their countries for things beyond just economic change, that they can actually make the world a better place. The field of entrepreneurship is no longer something of narrow commercial significance. It's something of more cultural consequence. It's something that represents the possibility of human endeavor for the benefit of all. The globalization of startup communities actually gives the world a much better chance at solving some of the intractable challenges of the decades past. So in a sense, we see more citizens trying their hand at helping the world innovate its way out of its challenges. The world needs more entrepreneurs. It's a question of inspiring more people to recognize that it's more important to the future of their societies than they previously recognized. Global Entrepreneurship Week is an idea bigger than all of the communities that make it up. And it represents something that we can all aspire to, which is to be part of one global community of people ferreting out better ways of doing things and improving the lives of our citizens.
Welcome back, and I want to thank you for staying tuned to Grow with IPED. And as I said in my opening discussion, my opening statements, we'll be talking about starting and growing businesses. So it's on that note, I want to welcome Mr. Persad to our program of Grow with IPED this week. A hearty welcome to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Darren. It's a pleasure being here.
Growing and starting businesses is an important topic. And you as the Chief Executive Officer of IPED, Executive Director of the Guyana Youth Business Trust, and with all the experiences that you have, let us talk a bit about why does an entrepreneur start a business?
Okay. In order for me to answer that question, I'll start from the context of why we should not start a business too. Okay. A lot of individuals start businesses because they want to become their own bosses. I would say that that's a very wrong basis to start a business. To become your own boss, you don't necessarily need to start a business for that. So if that is your intention, business is not necessarily the right thing. Lots of individuals also start businesses because they have no other opportunities of employment. Now, that can be seen from a perspective, yes, it's a good opportunity at that point in time to start a business, but when you're faced with such a situation, you end up starting businesses that are not well thought out. Okay? So, why should you start a business? You start a business because you see an opportunity to solve a problem. Many times we go to businesses and we access services, we buy products, but then we have whole host of complaints on how that product is delivered to us, how that service is delivered to us. Once you have the ability to identify problems, you also have the ability to recognize that those problems can be solved, and then a business can be used to solve those problems. When you start a business, you must consider the market. You must be able to understand that a business must be started because there's an opportunity. There's a problem to be solved, there's a need to be fulfilled, there's a want to be fulfilled. You have recognized what those opportunities are, and you have found a way of delivering that service or that product in a better manner. So it boils down that we start a business because there is an opportunity. There's an opportunity that we know how to make things better.
Okay, so there is an opportunity, and I have decided to start a business. What are some of the things I need to take into account?
Oh, there are many things to take into account in starting a business. Many times we have ideas of what can work and what can't work. The bottom line is that we start a business because we want to serve the customer. Let's start with people doing businesses that are very similar in nature. It's very easy for a person to copy someone else's business or to do something that is already in existence. And a point to take into consideration is that sometimes we have ideas on starting businesses, and then we say nobody else is doing this, so we should start. Next thing we start, and then we realize that lots of other people come on board and end up doing very same and similar thing. So when we are starting a business, one of the things we need to consider is the product or the service that we are going to provide. How is it going to meet the needs of the customer? If there are many other persons that are actually doing this, how do we differentiate? What different do we offer to the customer? From time and again, you hear a lot of people complain about businesses failing because of competition. Now, I would just like to say that the business world is a competitive environment. And in starting those businesses, you have to take into consideration your product, how different it is going to be. What problem is it solving? Are you going to compete based on your product having a cheaper price? Is it going to be a better quality product? Is it going to be more accessible to people? Can it be easily found as compared to products that cannot be easily found? What is it, the challenge are you solving? What is the problem are you solving? So that's an important element in starting a business. You also have to consider your customer. Mm-hmm. From time and again, business persons imagine what customers need, and then they start providing those services, and lo and behold, people don't buy nor access their services. For one reason, the customers can't afford to buy the product or the service. There are lots of things we can dream of as individuals that we want, but whether we can afford to buy those things is a different issue. Okay? So when starting a business, you must be able to understand the customer. What is it that will be able to fulfill their need? What is it that they can afford? What is their income levels? All right? We also need to take into consideration if anybody else is doing this. Now, usually when you have a very innovative or very unique idea, and you come up and say that, okay, nobody else is doing it, you need to consider that if nobody else is doing it, maybe it's not such a good idea too. All right? Because if it's such a good idea, why other people are not doing it? A lot of people see that as an opportunity to start a business because nobody else is doing it. But you also need to look at it as a reason why people are not doing it. All right, because if it's such a good idea and nobody else is doing it, there must have been a reason why nobody else is doing it. So you need to take that into consideration also. So those are some of the few things that you need to take into consideration.
Okay. So based on what you're telling me or what you've related there, it brings me to the point of, so it means that business planning is very important then, if I want to start a business.
Business planning is very important. When you plan, it means that you're thinking. It means that you're thinking ahead. So planning is the process of conceptualizing, visioning, setting goals, setting objectives. And to do those things, it means you have to think. You know, the old saying goes, you think before you act. And planning helps you to through that thinking process. Now, when people hear planning, they always confuse it to mean that, oh, it has to be very well documented, paperwork, cash flows, and, you know, projections and all of those things. But planning basically means that before you're going to get involved in something, think it through properly. So it is important that you plan. Now, it is important that you think about what you're going to do. But what is important also is that you have to recognize that you can plan and plan and plan, and then nothing turns out the way you plan. Or there are major deviations from your plan that you might have never been able to dream of that could happen. Good. There are natural disasters that can come upon you. There are many other problems that can arise. But what planning does is that you have an idea where you want to be. When challenges arise, you at least know where you want to be, where you've deviated, what is your exact position, and how you can actually move forward to achieving that plan. Sometimes when you plan, you need to change that goalpost of what your original plan was, because sometimes you originally conceptualize something, and then at the implementation stage, you recognize that it's not something that is no longer practical, or it needs amendment, it needs modification on its way. But you wouldn't know what kind of modification is needed if you didn't have an original thought or an original plan.
Right, quite true. You know, touching on planning, you know, I want to start a business. I've done all that. I've conceptualized, I've planned, I've put everything on paper, I've considered everything, and I've started a business. But sometimes I still fail. Can we talk a bit about what are some of the reasons you think businesses fail, contribute to failure?
Well,
I think you touched on a few.
Failure in business, I can say it's something that could happen, I wouldn't want to say that every business will end up in some level of difficulty, but failure is something that you have to plan for too. Now, businesses fail for several reasons. Now, a lot of people think that businesses will fail only because of business-related issue. I'll touch on the next issue, that what we've recognized in our portfolio and our clientele that cause a lot of businesses to fail. I'll deal with two social issues. You start your business, everything is going well, your family is in order,